Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, March 20th, 2025, will now come to order. Roll call.
Madam Chair Veronica Glover,
Here.
Vice Chair Kenyatta Hardy,
Here.
Board Member Dan Dodge,
Here.
Board Member Bradford Green,
Here.
Board Member Robert Sher,
Here.
Interim City Manager Michael Brohard.
He was here.
Okay. And we have Mark Corrett
Yes.
and Rebecca Cottle with Zach Cohen and Associates, our city planner.
Okay. All right. Next item of business on our agenda is approval of the minutes for November the 21st, 2024, Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
December 19th, 2024, Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, minutes. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
New items, 810 Randolph Street, conditional use application for an accessory dwelling unit, in-law suite. The applicant, Victoria Garcia, is requesting a conditional use permit to construct an in-law suite as an accessory dwelling unit, ADU, on the property located at 810 Randolph Street.
Rebecca present this case.
Okay,
Good evening. The subject property is a 30,000 square foot lot that is currently developed with a single family residence. The property is zoned SR1, which is a single family residential classification that allows accessory dwelling units as a conditional use. And the future land use is residential medium density. We have reviewed the application with the new land development code, which provides two criteria for conditional uses. The first criteria is the conditional use consistent with applicable land development regulations for the zoning district in which the property is located? The proposed additions do meet the minimum setback requirements, lot coverage, and height standards required by the SR1 zoning designation. The second criteria is the conditional use compatible with existing and proposed uses in the adjacent area? This request is for an accessory use that is customarily associated with residential uses. The surrounding properties are developed with dwellings and accessory structures to support the residential uses. If granted, this request will not change the character, appearance, or typical uses found in this area. Given its modest size and compatibility with the existing residence, the ADU will not be noticeable from the road and will maintain the single-family nature of the surrounding properties. The applicant's architect has indicated that the owner's family members will be utilizing the accessory dwelling unit. Staff recommends approval of this request for conditional use to allow an accessory dwelling unit at 810 Randolph Street. And I would like to also provide some clarification on the map that you were given. We did receive one letter of objection, and that is for a representative of the estate that owns the two parcels highlighted in orange on the map that you were given. Those parcels are located to the northwest of the subject property, which is highlighted in purple.
I have a question, actually I have two. Can you define conditional?
This conditional use requires approval from this board, as well as a building permit.
So there's a number of different uses allowed in the zoning categories. Some of them are primary permitted uses. Those are uses that are allowed in that district by right. And then there are some uses that are classified as conditional uses. And what that means is that the property and the use might be appropriate at a specific location. However, the land development code says some additional scrutiny is required. So they have to go through a process of making application, giving notice to their neighbors, and reviewed by the planning commission. So that's essentially what it means to be a conditional use. So you do have the ability to approve the use, you can deny the use, or you can impose additional reasonable conditions depending upon, you know, what factors you discover that might make it acceptable.
Okay, thank you.
So can you clarify something? I don't know if when we talk about the background existing uses, and it says, this is a proposed in-law suite. So it says, since it has, it will have a greater area than the existing residence, the in-law suite will become the principal room?
Correct. So the land development code requires that accessory dwelling units be smaller than the principal dwelling unit. So because the addition will be larger than the existing residence, technically the existing residence will become the ADU and the new portion will become the principal dwelling unit.
Thank you.
I have another question. Given what you just said, is the new addition a, what do you call it, accessory building structure?
Yes, and it will have living space inside of it.
Okay, and it's actually attached to the house, right? Okay.
Correct,
Yes.
correct.
Okay, so even though it's attached to the house, why can't it be considered just a expansion of the house and not a accessory dwelling?
Well, because it has separate, it will have an additional kitchen, right? So it'll be an independent living unit in a sense that.
Okay, that answers.
Yeah.
And also, there was a thing about putting in a small shed. No?
That's also shown on the plan, but that's not a conditional use that would be considered.
Thank you.
Real quick, with the flip-flopping of the ADU and the house, that puts the ADU in front of the residence, is that correct?
So what has happened, there's an existing home there, they're gonna make an addition to the rear of the house.
Mhm.
So if you're standing at the road, you won't notice anything different about the house. But the square footage of the addition is actually larger than the existing home. So what I think is gonna happen is the current family that is living there, they're gonna live in the new addition. They're gonna have their mother-in-law, and I believe this case, it actually is a mother-in-law, is that correct?
Right.
Because they're typically called mother-in-law suites, but very rarely do mother-in-laws actually live in them. But in this particular case, a mother-in-law literally is gonna then move into what is the existing structure.
I have a question for clarification, please. So between the carport and the street, is that the only existing structure, the kitchen and the bedroom?
You're looking at, first of all, what page are you looking at?
Well, so looking at this one.
This one, the existing floor plan.
That shows the addition, and then the front portion, which is the existing house isn't fully shown just to make room for what the scope of work will
Oh,
be.
there's more structure to this.
Correct, yes,
I
the actual house is between the street and the addition.
So on the west side, this is all new, correct?
Correct. So, yeah,
Okay.
if you go to the previous page, you sort of see the existing addition is just shown essentially as a square.
And I assume it's creating one continuous roof line?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so my question is, what, the concern that the neighbor has, okay? So what is their specific issue? What is their concern?
They have not identified an objection, but you can see, they talked about, if you read it, the language indicates that they're objecting to something being built on their property or something nearby. So I don't think they understood, really, they received the notice, but I don't think they really asked any follow-up, which obviously they were here, you could explain that to them, but for whatever reason that they indicated they couldn't make it. And so they wanted to get their objection in. But you can see that there might be some confusion.
So, okay, because it's always, important to understand,
Yeah.
what they are objecting to, what's their concern as well.
They don't want anything on or near
Right.
their property.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I believe their property is vacant, by the way.
okay.
That was gonna be my next question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked it up and it looks like it's vacant.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
And it still will leave spacing between their property, I'm saying, the dwelling is not gonna be,
This addition is behind the
Okay.
existing, so, yeah, it'll be the existing.
so like, it's really not from what I'm understanding and what I'm kind of seeing, so it's like this and that behind,
Right.
so it's not,
Yeah.
okay, that's.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
this is, Tony Pais, he's the representative of the applicant, so if you do have questions of the applicant, it would be appropriate to hear from them before you hear from the audience.
So there's no issues regarding setback?
No, they need setbacks.
Cause it's good. Okay,
I have no further questions.
I don't have any questions, it's clear to me, I understand.
Is the applicant on the speak?
Yes. You can come to the podium, please, and please tell us your name and
Yes,
address.
my name's Antonio Pines, I'm with EPI, Engineer Firms, in DeLand, Florida. Our client came to us and he said, I just wanna add to the back of my house, I wanna have a covered patio between my house and the in-law suites, and just keep the roof line the same. So we decided to do that. By doing that, we're not encroaching into any side setbacks or any rear setbacks. We're keeping the aesthetics of the house pretty much the same. And, we're not exceeding any 35% of the impervious area or anything like that. We have plenty of parking as well. And, we would like the city to hopefully work with us and move forward with this project.
Thank you.
Are the owners here?
It's right here, Mr. Victor and
Great, thank you.
I don't have any questions. Anybody else have any questions or concerns?
So technically, this is a public hearing, so you should ask if there's anybody from the
Okay,
public who
all
wishes
right.
to.
Is there anyone else have any questions or concerns that they would like to share?
Yo nomás, una pregunta que tengo, no sé si.
Can he come up and state his name and interpret for him?
Hello, good evening. My name is Victor Arias, and my English is not really good, so he can translate in. Una pregunta más de los cables de la luz del vecino que están cruzando por la luz de nosotros, y por ahí tenemos que entrar los camiones que el permiso nos dan. No hay forma de que los camiones entren por debajo de los cables de luz del vecino.
Okay. Mr. Victor stated that he has a concern his neighbor, the overhead wires from his neighbor's, on his neighbor's side of the fence are running low, a little too low, and he's just concerned that he's gonna have dump trucks or, large, equipment they're going through. Who would he have to get in contact about those utilities being so low, overhead? That's-
The LPL,
Yeah, the
that'd be LPL.
Power
The
company.
power company.
Yeah.
He's trying to call, he's already called him 5 times.
Yeah. I think, basically, I think FPL's position would be when coming off the pole and they're over the property at that point, they might say that it's the individual property owner's responsibility to make sure that their service is.
Right.
What I would do is I would, assuming it gets approved, and once you're in the permitting process for the structure, I would reach out to that neighbor and discuss with them the fact that you're gonna be doing some construction and you don't want to damage their service, and then see if you can work something out with them where they.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to have permission to go, in many cases, to go across their properties, if that's the case,
Correct.
yes.
Que una vez que den el permiso, hable con el vecino que se va a mover ahí maquinaria, que si ellos pueden hablarle a FPL para que traten de mover las líneas, pero tiene que ser el vecino, no puede ser hacer. Pero una vez que tenga el permiso, no. Thank you.
Okay, so, guess we're ready to vote, there's nothing else, got anything else? Okay, we're ready to vote. Call.
Rod Green,
Yay.
Kim Hardy,
The emotion.
Renee.
Oh, we need to make a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the, conditional use application for an accessory dwelling unit at 810 Randolph Street.
Second, I second that motion.
Okay, it has been motioned and seconded that we approve, the changes at 810 Randolph Street in Crescent City.
Yay.
all approved, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck, Mr. Garcia.
Can I add something? I just wanted to compliment Mr. Garcia on providing such an excellent, package. It does a group, it answers just about everything, and especially the elevations, because a lot of times on accessory buildings, they talk about, roof lines matching. I think this is an excellent example of what is meant by that roof line match, through the elevations that are provided in the application. So, good job.
Thank you.
I'd also like to add that it is not decreasing the value of the neighborhood. It is increasing the value of the neighborhood. And I especially appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Le va a dar valor a usted y a su vecino, y que no le va a bajar el valor de su casa ni del vecino, al contrario, le va a dar más valor al vecino por igual. Y está muy agradecido con el papeleo que sometió. Thank you very much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day. Thank you.
Bye now.
Good luck.
Okay. Other items. A, staff comments.
Just want to let you guys know that 201 North Summit, that complimentary rezoning, which was the new fire station site, that did get approved at the last city commission meeting. So I was going through the other applicant that was on the agenda, I think is basically put his application on hold. That was the gentleman and lady who owned a property on Central. They wanted to go to the Central Business. They more or less put that application on hold. So that hasn't progressed. We are still going to be working forward on the master rezoning. And I know that there's gonna be a lot of, there's some staff transitions that are occurring here at, city. In addition, there's been some changes with Main Street. I do wanna meet with Main Street and talk to them about the central business district and the new land development code. I don't know if the new, executive director has, any context to this, but obviously before we rezone that entire street, we do, we'll be touching base with them before we get it public. That's all I have.
Okay. All right, thank you. Do we have any, public comments? Any public comments? Okay. Board member comments?
Yes. I would like to talk about the Historic Preservation Committee. And I would like to recommend that we have a meeting, each month. And that one of the pending items is the, Miller Middle School. The second is the historic survey that's being done. It would be good for that committee to have updates. The other is updates on the New Moon Lodge.
You want an update on it?
It would be nice to have an update.
Okay.
I know there's a pending grant, is there?
Yes, and we're just still just trying to come up with ways to write more grants. I'm actually filling out one now.
So it would be good for that committee to have a monthly update
Okay,
on all these things, because we might get asked by the community.
okay. Now, are we gonna, where you think that we're gonna have enough information where we need to meet every month, or that's what I'm concerned about?
If the planning and zoning is meeting,
Mm-hmm.
it's a natural just to meet with it, because the majority are here. If there's not an issue, then I think it needs to be discussed whether it's worthy to meet or not. But I think for the immediate future, for the next few months, there are items that are in process.
Okay,
Just the survey alone,
okay,
that we as a committee should be updated on.
okay.
So are you talking about the survey that's going along with the grant that was written? Is that what you're talking about? When he was talking, when the gentleman came?
Oh, when Jim was here, yes, Weber.
So would
He and
he-
Jennifer are doing it now.
Okay, so they, okay,
And I think it ends the end of June is the deadline.
okay. What was her name again? Susan? What was her name? The young lady?
I would only
Kim.
be guessing at this time.
Okay. You remember her name?
No.
Okay.
And
Might have been Jennifer.
Who would bring us updates from the middle school? Is it
Yeah,
you?
I would because I chair that committee.
okay. Okay,
And of course, our chair is highly involved with the New Moon Lodge.
yes. Vote on that, so thank you.
And the other is the church,
Jethro
yes.
and, okay. All right, yes,
For instance, they're getting quotes to have gas for termites. And they have pending issues. They'll need to, they're looking at hiring a structural engineer.
as well. Okay,
Yes, yeah, and I think they're seeking funding.
okay,
And lastly is the Bradford Cemetery, which was turned over to the sheriff's department over a month ago. And then the sheriff's department asked that there be a specialist come in and, with a radar and take a sensor of the existing possible graves that are there.
Where's the Brentwood Cemetery?
Well, I'm getting to that, good
Oh,
question,
okay.
thank you for bringing it up. So it's south of town, but it's, so even though it's not within the city limits, what happened there is of importance to all cemeteries. And we do have cemeteries in our town, of course, in our city.
Are you talking about the one that's adjacent to one? Is it out there by Denver Road out there?
Yes,
That's on the
Yeah.
other side.
Oh, okay, I know. Okay. I know exactly where it's at, okay.
Do you have a proper name on that thing?
pardon?
On the cemetery, the proper name? The name of the cemetery?
I'll get it to you. It's called, by several different names. I think the appropriate name has, 3 family names to it. So I'll get you that.
So how we get to Bradford, the name Bradford? Are they one of,
Brandon, maybe.
are they one of the families on there?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's 4.5 acres
Mm-hmm.
and I'm quite sure how many graves are there.
And you say it's, who got it now?
The sheriff's department. It went to the Department of Cemeteries, but because is not a certified cemeteries, they have no authority over it, so it was kicked back to the sheriff's department. And the concern is that the current and previous owners went in and did some land clearing and might have disturbed some of the markers. And so this is to explore exactly what was done and if there's any disturbance of the graves.
So is that something for, you just for informational purposes, or is that something that
It's,
our historic preservation committee?
well, it's information for us to be aware of what could happen with our own cemeteries within the city limits. And also to be aware of a current governance that shows weakness. And that we, for instance, if necessary, we don't know what was done, because there's a lot of rumors going around and hearsay. So at the end of the day, it may be wise for us to make a recommendation. But my point is that it keeps us informed of an important issue, or that could be very important to us. And of course, many of the families whose ancestors were buried there are buried much a part of our city.
Just seems there might be a jurisdictional issue there.
Well, and
Yeah.
well, that's right. There's not much enforcement we can do, but it can educate us on the concerns, what can happen.
Right.
Without it, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Follow you a little bit, okay, okay. Okay,
So what I would recommend and suggest, Madam Chairman, is that perhaps a week or 10 days prior to the next scheduled meeting of the Planning and Zoning, Melanie and I get together and discuss what the possible updates are.
okay,
Because I agree, there's no reason to meet,
Right.
yes,
especially if we're not having a P&Z meeting, then, you know, we need to discuss whether it's worthy of meeting.
okay, yeah, that's why I asked the question, so we can, okay.
I mean, we all like being together, but, you know.
April
We
17th.
do. I do, I like to come here and see y'all. Yeah. I'm a people's person, I don't know how other people.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Ms. Callis.
Is it called the Blue Moon Lodge? What,
The new moon on,
New Moon, I'm sorry.
yes,
I'm thinking of an Elvis Presley song or something. Is that on the National Register?
yes it is.
It's already got its designation?
Yes, that's why they were unable to tear it down. They were trying, but that is, thank you, Mr. Jim Stady, he
Oh,
kept hope alive. Yeah, so, yes, so it is, and it's in, so that's, important to know. Yeah, so it is. So we're just trying to find funding, so I'm in the middle of writing one now, so hopefully that'll come through for us, so. Anything else?
I have something.
Yes.
I have a question for Mark in regards to the property on 515 South Prospect Street. You're familiar with that? It's that dilapidated hole down at the end of the street that was condemned by the city, and then somebody bought it, paid the taxes. And I was told by Don Peckman up at the county zoning office that it had a permit and the permit had expired. But then I was told after that they do have a permit. And part of the permitting is, I read both in the county codes and our city codes about, and I can't understand, that the property has to be worth 50% of its appraised value in order for the reconstruction to commence. Can you clarify that?
You're talking about, once a property has deteriorated below 50% of its value, it's potentially condemnable.
Okay.
Right?
And who determines that?
The building official is supposed to do that as part of their,
So the county?
yes.
So they would go out and assess it and say, yeah, this is 50%.
They would assess the condition of the structure, and I guess if, in theory, the building official is supposed to be, knowledgeable about the costs of repair and construction. So, he can make a judgment as to whether the repair of this is, it's deteriorated to the point where you'd be spending way more than 50% of the value to repair it or not. Obviously, if you're talking right to that number, it might be difficult, but, in theory, he's supposed to be knowledgeable enough to be able to assess that.
Okay, well, the current status is the property is valued at $44,000, and even Don Peckman said that's unrealistic, that it's much lower than that. So what you're saying is that the property has to be 50% of 44,000? How does that work? I mean, to repair that, it's probably gonna cost $100.
Right, so let's, there's all sorts of issues that whether it's something condemnable, is it non-conforming? If it's, if the structure is not conforming in the sense that it doesn't meet the setbacks, it doesn't have the minimum lot size, lot size doesn't have the minimum dwelling unit size, or if you're gonna spend more than 50% of the value, essentially you can't. That's gonna be prohibited.
So the value is 44, so if you're gonna spend more than 22,000, then it's not.
Assuming assuming there are non-conforming issues with it. I mean, if it's just deteriorated again, somebody purchased it, got a permit, right? They have to make progress. So, you can get a building permit, typically with structures that are deteriorating. Sometimes if a new owner comes in, the building official will sort of extend some little, additional time to, new owner gonna, fix the property up. though they might be a little bit, more lenient in terms of, giving people leeway in terms of making repairs. The issue, however, is, permits expire if you don't have, make progress or have inspections within 6 months. So, who knows what the current status of that?
No, well, I know they haven't made any progress on it in 12 months.
Yeah.
My understanding is that the value is of the structure, not of the structure and land. Is that correct?
It's of the structure.
Thank you.
Okay. I mean, that house is over 130 years old, and it's in really good shape. So, I'm just wondering how he can go ahead and remodel it if he doesn't meet the criteria.
That might be what's keeping it holding on, because it's the age of it too. So that might be a factor,
It's in rough shape.
a contributing factor. All right, if there's nothing else,
Would you like a motion to adjourn?
we need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Sorry.
It has been motion and second that the March 2025 planning and zoning meeting be adjourned.
Yes, yeah. He's a whiskey.